Have you ever felt the sting of your children's indifference, as if the years of love, sacrifice, and guidance you poured into them have faded into the background? What if the child who once looked up to you now brushes off your words, or worse, makes you feel like a burden? If your heart aches at the thought, hold on, you're not alone, and there's a way to rewrite this story. In this video, I'm unveiling 6 profound soul-stirring strategies to reclaim the respect you deserve from your children. These aren't band-aid fixes or shouting matches. They're powerful, heartfelt shifts that will transform how your children see you, restoring the bond you've nurtured for decades. Stay with me until the end, and I'll guide you towards standing tall as a cherished, respected figure in their lives, radiating strength and dignity. Let's dive into this journey together. Stop chasing their approval. Close your eyes and picture this. You're bending over backwards, rearranging your life, swallowing your opinions and saying yes, when every fiber of your being wants to say no, all to keep your children happy, to win a smile or a nod of approval. But here's the gut-wrenching truth. The more you chase their validation, the less they value you. It's like pouring water into a cracked bucket. It never fills. Respect doesn't grow from self-sacrifice. It takes root in the rich soil of self-respect. Meet Margaret, a woman whose fiery spirit once lit up every room. In her younger years, she was a force, independent, bold, unapologetic. But as her children grew, she dimmed her light, letting them steer the ship. She silenced her voice, reshuffled her days to suit their whims, and bit her tongue when they spoke down to her, all to keep the family together. She thought she was building bridges, but she was dismantling her own worth. Her children began to see her as a shadow, someone who'd always bend, always agree. Then one day, Margaret woke up. She drew a line in the sand. She said no when it mattered, spoke her truth even when it sparked tension, and reclaimed her space. Slowly, her children's eyes widened. They saw a woman who honored herself, and their respect followed like a tide returning to shore. If you're yearning for your children's respect, stop acting like their approval is your oxygen. Stand firm in your worth. Set boundaries that protect your heart, and watch how they begin to see you anew, not as a doormat, but as a pillar of strength. Lead with grace, not to arguments. When your children interrupt you mid-sentence, dismiss your hard-earned wisdom, or treat you like an afterthought, it's like a knife to the heart. Your instinct might be to fire back, to remind them of the sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the love that built their world. But stop and ask yourself, when has a shouting match ever won someone's heart? Arguments don't build respect. They burn bridges. True respect is earned through the quiet power of your presence, the way you hold your ground when the world tests you. Frank's story brings this to life. A retired teacher, he once commanded classrooms with a blend of authority and warmth. But at home, his grown children treated him like a relic, ignoring his advice and chuckling at his attempts to guide them. At first, Frank fought back, his voice rising as he tried to prove he still mattered. But the louder he shouted, the wider the gap grew. Then one day he chose a different path. Instead of arguing, he listened, really listened. When they dismissed him, he responded with calm, measured wisdom, refusing to be baited into a fight. He carried himself like a man who didn't need to prove his worth, and something shifted. His children began to notice a quiet strength, a dignity that didn't beg for respect, but commanded it. Over time, they stopped laughing. They started listening. Don't waste your breath, fighting for their regard. Show them what respect looks like by standing tall, speaking with conviction, and never stooping to their level. Your grace will speak volumes, and they'll feel it in their bone. If this hits home, drop number 2 in the comments to let me know you are here. And if you haven't subscribed, Hit that button and ring the bell to join our community of growth and inspiration. Free yourself from emotional dependence. Your children are your heart, your legacy, the ones you'd move mountains for. It's only natural to crave their love, their calls, their time. But when you lean on them to fill the spaces in your soul, the balance tip, they sense your need, and instead of gratitude, they feel weighed down. The more you chase their affection, the further they drift, leaving you clutching at empty air. Helen's journey paints this picture with vivid clarity. A mother whose love knew no bounds. She gave everything to her children. But as they built their own lives, she found herself alone, staring at a silent phone, her heart aching for their voices. She called them, poured out her longing, reminded them how much she missed them. But her pleas felt like chains to them, obligations rather than invitations. Then Helen rewrote her story. She stopped waiting. She picked up paintbrushes, joined dance classes, laughed with new friends, and filled her days with worry that didn't hinge on her children. Suddenly, her phone began to ring. Her children, curious and captivated, wanted to know about her vibrant life. They respected her not as a mother clinging to them, but as a woman who shone on her own. Your emotional independence is your superpower. When you show your children you're whole without their constant validation, they'll be drawn to you not out of duty, but out of admiration for the life you've built. Set boundaries with love and strength. Imagine your children cutting you off mid-sentence, rolling their eyes at your advice, or treating your time like it's theirs to waste. It hurts, doesn't it? But here's a truth that might sting. If you let them treat you this way, they will. Not because they're heartless, but because people mirror the standards you set. Boundaries aren't walls, they're signposts guiding others to treat you with the care you deserve. Robert, a retired businessman, lived this lesson. In his career, he led with discipline and confidence. But with his adult children, he faltered. They interrupted him, criticized his choices, and dismissed his feelings. For years, he swallowed his frustration, telling himself it wasn't worth the fight. But every time he stayed silent, he taught them his worth was negotiable. Then Robert changed the game. When his son cut him off, he said calmly, "I'll speak when you're ready to listen." When his daughter belittled him, he stood firm. "You don't have to agree, but I expect respect." And when they pushed, he made it clear without mutual respect, he'd step back. At first they resisted, but his unwavering stance showed them he valued himself. Slowly they began to listen, to honor him because he honored himself first. If your children cross lines, ask yourself, are you allowing it? Draw boundaries with love, enforce them with strength, and watch respect. Take root like a tree, finding solid ground. Drop number 4 in the comments if this resonates, and subscribe to keep growing with us. 5. Give only what's cherished. As parents, giving is woven into your soul. You offer your time, your energy, your resources, often without a second thought. But when your children take it all for granted, offering no thanks, expecting more, it's like pouring your heart into a void. Every unacknowledged gesture teaches them your kindness is their entitlement, not a gift. George's story is a mirror for many. A father with a heart of gold, he gave endlessly to his children. Money for emergencies, time for their needs, even his own plans reshuffled to suit theirs. But instead of gratitude, he faced complaints, demands, and entitlement. When he needed them, they were too busy. Heartbroken, George made a choice. He stopped overextending. He offered help only when asked, said no, when it felt right, and made his generosity a deliberate act, not a reflex. At first, his children bristled, confused by the shift. But as they realized his kindness wasn't infinite, they began to value it. They thanked him, cherished his efforts because they saw them as gifts, not guarantees. If your giving feels invisible, pause and reflect. Are you pouring out more than you should? Offer only what's appreciated and teach your children to honor your heart. Your kindness is a treasure, let them treat it as one. 6. Build a life that shines. Your children were once the sun in your sky, the center of every choice, every dream. But as they carve their own paths, tying your happiness to them can dim your radiance. If they see you waiting for their calls, their visits, their attention, they may feel suffocated, even resentful. Respect flows to those who live with purpose, who weave a tapestry of joy and meaning beyond their role as parents. Eleanor's transformation is a beacon of hope. A widow in her late 70s, she felt lost after her husband's passing. She poured her love into her children, offering advice they didn't want, seeking connection they couldn't give. They drifted further, their visits rare, their calls brief. Eleanor felt like a ghost in their lives. Then she chose to live again. She joined a book club where lively debates sparked her mind. She traveled with friends, laughing under foreign skies. She volunteered her hands, planting seeds of change in her community. As her world expanded, her children noticed. They called, eager to hear about her adventures, drawn to her vitality. They respected her not as a mother waiting, but as a woman whose life glowed with purpose. What would your life look like if you chased your own passions? Build a world that lights you up. Hobbies, friendships, dreams, and your children will see you anew. They'll admire you not just as their parent, but as a person who inspires. If this moves you, comment number 6 below and subscribe to keep fueling your growth. Final thoughts. When your children treat you with less respect than you deserve, it's a wound that cuts deep. It's easy to spiral into anger, to demand they see your worth, or to wonder where you went wrong. But respect isn't won through fury or pleas. It's inspired by the way you live, the way you love yourself. Stop chasing their approval. Let your self-respect be your crown. Lead with grace, not arguments, and let your dignity be your voice. Free yourself from emotional dependence. Set boundaries that guard your heart and give only what's cherished. Above all, build a life so vibrant, so full, that they can't help but stand in awe. These changes won't happen in a day, but with every step, you'll reclaim your place in their hearts, not as someone begging for respect, but as someone who commands it simply by being. You've given them your all. Now give yourself the gift of a life that shines. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Drop a comment below sharing one lesson that touched you and how you'll weave it into your life. Your stories light up our community, and we're here for every step. If this video stirred your heart, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Your support fuels more content to inspire and uplift. See you in the next video where we'll keep growing together.